Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning from the side of time. Sorry we are starting slightly behind schedule, but we're here now, and it's a time to reflect on the journey so far. As you can see, we have come a long way, and we are going a long way. Nigeria is 64, so I want to call this a reflection on where we are coming from, so that we understand where we are going to. So this class is a reflection on the journey so far. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Edmondo Bello. Good morning. We have a rich history as a country, and few things symbolize our collective identity, and that is shown in our national anthem. Do you want to call it a new one or the real one? Remember the first anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee? And this administration brought back the anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee. Whatever anthem we have, the most important thing is that the anthem reflects the dreams and aspirations of a people bound together by a shared hope. And this is despite the diversity in tribes and tongues. So the anthem Nigeria We Hail Thee is a timeless reminder of our enduring commitment to unity, justice, and the common good of all Nigerians. As we look into the future, let's always have these enduring commitments to unity, justice, and the common good of all Nigerians. As we reflect on the words of this anthem, we are invited to draw inspiration from its vision for a brighter and united Nigeria. At 64, we should consider the opening lines of the anthem, Nigeria we hail thee, our own dear native land, though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. These opening lines celebrate our strength in diversity. Nigeria is a home to over 200 ethnic groups and numerous languages. But what brings us together is stronger than what divides us. So our anthem calls for unity, urging us to stand as brothers and sisters, embracing our differences with mutual respect and understanding. In a world where divisions are often exploited for selfish gain, we are reminded that Nigeria's true greatness lies in its ability to unite despite the odds. We can build a nation where every tribe, tongue, and faith finds a home, where we lift each other up not because we are the same, but because we are the same, because we share the same dream of progress, peace, and prosperity. How are you this morning? Nigeria is 64. How do you feel? Now, this is what I want to look at today. I have titled this class, The Nigerian Nationalist Triad. Ahmadu Bello, Obafemi Awolowo, and Nnamdi, Azikiwe. We want to look into their lives. So for this edition, I have a special guest, and he's Dr. Bola Dauda. He's an eminent public administrator and scholar. He's the co-author of the book, Decolonizing Nigeria, 1945 to 1960, Politics, Power, and Personalities. As you sit in this class, I will advise that you listen keenly, take notes, and then find the opportunity to reflect on the different books we'll be recommending for this class. In the book Decolonizing Nigeria, written by Tony Falola and Bola Dauda, it is stated that because politics is a game of the Laswellian principle of who gets what, when, and how, any evaluation or analysis of the state of Nigeria that does not zero in on the underlying interplay of the political terrain and domain of the playing field of nationalism. And here we are talking about the prevailing North-South power relations and the attitudes, political and professional skills of the actors. If we are not reflecting deeply on the experiences and overall personalities of the main player of Nigeria at independence, we will then not be sane or having a proper judgment of why we are where we are. So the central characters that are called the Nationalist Triad, that is Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and Ahmadu Bello, set the rules of the late colonial era's political game in Nigeria. Remember, with the death of Herbert Macaulay in 1946, no other Nigerian leader competed with the Triad as the founding fathers of the pre-independence Nigeria. So we want to look at what makes up or what defines their political life. How did their background define their political life? That is what we'll be looking at on this edition of State Affairs. But first, when we say background of a political actor, what are we talking about? Why is it important to understand the background of political leaders and how their background shaped their political vision, their ideology? So Bola Dauda is my guest on State Affairs. Here we are going to look at the social background,
Yes.
values and beliefs that shaped the man.
Okay.
Awolowo came from a different background.
Yes.
Bello came from a different background.
Yes.
And Azikiwe had his unique background.
Yes.
And you believed in this book that the background of a leader also shapes his political views.
Yes.
What informs that conclusion?
Well, the background is the root of the the culture of the leaders or of the person involved. It's also the root of the political culture of the individuals. So when you combine the social background, the culture as a whole, in terms of the upbringing, their beliefs, what they were. Don't forget that in the bringing up of a child, there are institutions we call the social institutions for the upbringing. And they could be the church, the religion they were born into, the society they were born into, and so many other things, and the school they attended, the community within which they live, and their time. All these things, they come together to form the personality of any individual.
In the book, you said the growth and development of a child
Yes.
depends on the interplay of its inherited biological endowment,
Yes.
and environmental factors
Yes.
that nurture the natural heritage.
Yes.
We recognize the four primary institutional agents of socialization that help a child to learn and imbibe the culture of its people, family, school, religious institutions, and the rest of society.
Yes.
For scholars like you to have identified these agents, does Nigeria take seriously the environment where children are raised?
It does. And each parent wants the best for the child. And in the process, they could be misguided by other pressures or factors. But basically, any parent will want the best for the children.
I have been looking at the Chinese model of schooling,
Yes.
the Japanese model of raising the child.
Yes.
You see a deliberate government effort
Yes.
in shaping the behavior of the child
Yes.
through a curriculum system
Yes.
that must be followed to the letter.
Yes.
So in this case, a Japanese child is brought up to love the environment, love everybody around them. So they grow up with that love. So if they love the system, they will not shortchange the system.
No.
Do we have that kind of system?
We don't, because of that is why the book is called Decolonization. The way we developed Nigeria, or the way Nigeria grew up from colonial institution, did not provide the type of comparison you are bringing forward with the Japanese. For example, in Japan, is the highest respected and paid are the teachers, and no nation can rise above the quality of its teachers. So when you have a nation in which, if I wanted to read medicine or any professional thing and I couldn't get the qualification, they will send me to the Faculty of Education. So we don't respect the teachers, we don't pay them, and the principles by which we operate is what instructed the Japanese culture, where is there is competitive cooperation. So from the family, from everything, even when you retire, they don't just send you home. They create a room for you in the top of the building so that you leave home in the morning and you can just come to the office. And the whole process of bringing up a child requires so much that it's not just something that Nigeria has given enough consideration to. We don't train our teachers. We don't manage them. There is no way we can get the type of Japanese culture of bringing up the children the way we do.
So the kind of leaders we have presently are products of our environment.
Yes.
And our environment do not produce visionary leaders.
It doesn't.
And we need to restructure that environment.
That is the most important part. And that's in the book, we call it the software. It's like if you have the flag independence, that is the physical one. The mindset, the colonial mindset, the belief that foreign products are better than ours, and lack of patriotism and commitment to the nation, to the nationhood, there are issues that will remain with us for some time.
Patriotism can be built from the system of education.
Yes.
From the healthcare system.
Yes.
Do we have a deliberate effort to build citizens that are loyal to the state?
This is where the problem started, that the colonial masters didn't want anything for us. They just wanted to take the products from Nigeria. And as a result of that, they did not provide the institutions. You can imagine a situation in which you decided that, okay, we don't want Western education, and you come in, you colonize the place, you limited the missionaries to a certain part of the country. They cannot operate in the core north. So as a result of that, you have a situation in which they are behind in educational development. And you can imagine the frustration of the person who, Clifford, who succeeded Lugard, that for 20 years there was no one from northern Nigeria that could take up a job. Don't forget, Azikiwe was born in the north. And most of the institutions in the north, they were staffed by people from the south. So you then have a situation in which when independence became a reality, the northern leader preferred to have foreigners instead of having people from southern part of Nigeria. It's going to be a long process for us to change the heritage, the colonial heritage.
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
As a people with one song, with one voice, we're a nation undivided and poised. We will take a stand and build our land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore. Where freedom reigns and truth prevails. Our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's hope for us all. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that one day we'll shine like the sun. We're a great nation.
That's Timi Dakolo there talking about a great nation, Nigeria. You see, if you looked at the second verse of our anthem, it highlights the deep significance of our national flag. It says, "Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In a time when corruption and injustice challenge our societal fabric, these lines call us back to our core values. Our flag represents a country where truth is not suppressed and justice is not a privilege but a right for all citizens. Whether in moments of peace or in battle, the anthem reminds us that the honor of our country depends on upholding these principles. So when members of the political class brought back the anthem, I asked within me, would they abide by the principles of the anthem? I have swore to abide by the principles of the anthem. What about you? Our generation has the responsibility to pass on to our children a Nigeria where integrity prevails, a banner without stain. This is not just a call to leadership, but to every Nigerian from all walks of life to embody truth and justice in our everyday actions.
We believe in this nation, and we'll know we'll get there someday. Can somebody sing me?
Enuma Nonso, how are you this morning? I greet you from this side of time. Sonny Olanio, you are watching on Facebook. Abimbola Sulaiman, how are you? Good morning. Ogbeni Oluwashi Olamide, good to have you here. Temitokbe Amo, good morning to you. Timmy Moses, how are you? I'm happy to find you here. Chris Olawi, good. Biodun Oladokun, I'm greeting you from the side. Akonye Umoba, good morning to you. He says, Nigeria is never a great country, Mr. Bello. Let's us not keep on deceiving ourselves. You know, greatness is a thing of the mind. If you feel your country is not great, it simply means you have not contributed enough to the building of your country. For me, I can only be a member of a great country. We are not where we want to be, but I believe with my effort and the effort of some others, we can build that country that can rival America, China in the years to come. Remember, I left a note on my page. That's what you know as the long circle theory. How development goes round in a circle. Africa time is coming. In fact, it is here. It is going to happen in my generation. What do you think? Yusuf Olusegun is watching. If you feel your country is not great, make it great. Work towards making it great. Or what do you want to do? You want to break it up? Abeza Chaso Bina. He says the background of the triad mattered, having read the Awo's autobiography. The beginning process of any child matters. It is at that time that his or her mind is most malleable and takes on any pattern one wishes to impress on them. This is why I keep calling for a standard primary and secondary schools in Oyo State and Nigeria in general. You know, in that discourse with Dr. Bola Dauda, we've just started a discourse. We are going to look into the lives of the Nationalist Triad. You can call them the founding fathers of Nigeria. How did their life, their background define the Nigeria of the moment? Remember, this is the Independence edition of State Affairs. And that is what we are looking at. And Bola Dauda is centrally placed to lead this discourse. The reason is that They wrote a powerful book, a book that you should read. In that book, you will understand where we are coming from and where we are going. The book is entitled Decolonizing Nigeria, 1945 to 1960, Politics, Power, and Personalities. Politics, Power, and Personalities. Call your friends, tell them to come. This is an edition you should not miss. Why the background of leaders matter. And you see, in that opening interview, we talked about Japan, the Japanese society, how they build their educational system, their value system. Those things matter. You know, Japan is a state with values of development anchored on profound cultural assumptions, profound cultural ideas. Paramount to this cultural value of the Japanese is the concept of love. The concept of love. They will call it honor. That mythology in Japan, what does it represent? You know, honor represents God. God as an embodiment of love and anger. Can you see it? Love and anger. So Japanese, as a matter of responsibility to the state, are expected to express love in their dealings, failure of which attracts anger in the form of punishment. The Japanese system is averse to individualistic and antisocial behaviors. It rewards abundantly empathy, consensus building, and cooperation. You know, Japan is the third biggest economy in the world. Not too long ago, it was the second biggest economy after the United States, until China took that position. So by these cultural norms, a Japanese fears being ostracized for behaviors outside positive examples. Is that bad that when you are ostracized in Japan, the citizen can go commit suicide? Yes. Is that bad when the system ostracizes you due to your bad behavior? Because when you are ostracized, they are not able to stand the shame that comes with punishment for being a deviant. It's an advanced society, and it is unique to the Japanese. Japan is a shame society because it has a shame culture. A shame society is one in which the primary device for gaining control over children and maintaining social order is the inculcation of shame and the complementary threat of being ostracized. It has been said that no society can exist that does not manage and integrate antisocial behavior. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. What is the theme of the class? The Nigerian Nationalist Triad, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Ahmadu Bello. Stay tuned. There are lessons to take away. I'll be back.
But one thing that many people never recognized was that apart from all the other issues, one thing that affected Akintola, which could only have been managed by Awolowo because of his knowledge of economy or so many other things, was that the price of cocoa fell at the time of Akintola, so there was no money for Akintola to run. So the economy was just as it is now in Nigeria today. We call it's a period when you don't throw away the water from your pipe. Mayomieko means that that water from the pipe is food. You don't throw it away. It was so bad.
State Affairs with Ahmadu Bello is live.
Was Akintola fighting somebody that was philosophically stronger than him?
He was. If Awolowo didn't have principle, Akintola, even members of the action group didn't want Akintola to succeed Awolowo. But Awolowo said he's the next person, and he must be there on principle.
Did Akintola take into cognizance Awolowo's personal character before he decided to fight?
He would have done that, but you know, people make mistakes. For example, before going to any war, there are certain rules you must not break. One is you don't underrate your enemy. Two, you must know that you want to fight a just cause. And three, you must know that you can win.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Ahmadu Bello is live. Stay tuned.
Let's look at some of the books Awolowo read. Did that define who he became? He said, according to Awolowo, two of the books that shaped his personality, works, and life philosophy were The Human Machine by Arnold Bennett.
Yes.
And It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes.
Yes.
Awolowo developed his philosophy of mental magnitude
Yes.
from Arnold Bennett's The Human Machine,
Yes.
and his resolve for the ethos of self-reliance and self-discipline, and his determination to take control of his thoughts, life, and destiny from It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes' mental magnitude.
Yes.
Awolowo so much believed in mental magnitude.
Yes.
How powerful can a book be on the life of a reader?
There is a saying that one book can change one's life and can shape one's life. And that's what that book did for Awolowo.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Ahmadu Bello is live. Stay tuned.
Look at what Bola Ige wrote in this book. On page 20 of Bola Ige's book, entitled The Zikist Movement. During this period under our consideration, the most potent weapon for nationalism and leadership for Zik was the Zikist movement.
Yes.
Bola Ige says, I am talking of the true and original Zikist movement,
Yes.
not the latter-day bastard offsprings, which went by the name of Zikist Vanguard and such like. Bola Ige says, in the 40s, Nwafo Orizu had come from the United States with a new philosophy. Although he came to launch what was described as horizontal education, he was clever enough to seek refuge under Zik's charisma. He propounded the philosophy of Zikism. It was indeed something new, even if not particularly challenging. Zik himself had never claimed to propound a philosophy or even to abide by any identifiable one. He neither wrote nor spoke about capitalism or socialism, not to talk of Marxism. He did not hide his preference for welfarism, but he has never defined it. He always spoke glowingly of leaders of the British Labour Party, especially Fanam Bronkwe, but that was because many of their leaders sympathized with the anti-colonial cause.
No, it was glaring that he had the opportunity and he missed it. And the second opportunity came when there was no clear majority to form government in 1959. And Awolowo approached him and said, look, let's come together. You be the prime minister, I will be a minister under you. Azikiwe decided to go north.
Stand as a people with one song, with one voice. We're a nation undivided and poised. We will take a stand and build our land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore. Where freedom rise and truth prevails. Our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's hope for us all. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that one day we'll shine like the sun. We're a great nation.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
He recognized the powers of Ahmadu Bello, didn't he?
Well, you can align with anybody that you know can help, can support your cause.
And Ahmadu Bello came in, and Awolowo was sent to prison.
Yes.
Is that conquest?
Well, you are using conquest in the literary form of you have a war and you defeat your enemy, or you have a desire to expand your territory. It wasn't about expansion of territory.
Remember, Ahmadu Bello was quoted to say that he would dip the Quran into the lagoon.
Yes.
How would you interpret that?
And that is missionary effort.
And it's take over Yoruba land.
Yes.
So that's what I'm asking. By sending Awolowo to prison,
Yeah.
was it in preparation of taking over Yoruba land?
When you get an ally who was ready, you know, if you know the history of Ilorin, you will see that Afoja was a Yoruba person who betrayed the Alaafin, and in the end got the support of the Fulani, and then the Fulani got rid of him. So if you have an enemy and you believe that the problem of the North is only that of Awolowo, then you get somebody within the Yoruba group who was ready to support you, then you can go ahead.
The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Ahmadu Bello. In this class, we are looking at the Nigerian Nationalist Triad: Obafemi Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, and Nnamdi, Azikiwe. That is what we are looking. We want to look at their background and how their background shaped Nigeria. We are going to start with Obafemi Awolowo. I can see Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro. I can see Zelan Martin, Razak Ridwan. Come to class. Tell your friends to come to class. That we are streaming on Edmond Obilo's pages on Facebook. So you can come to that class. We are streaming on Edmond Obilo's channel on YouTube. Have you watched the video entitled The Brigadier's Daughter? The story of Sholakbe Ademulegun? It's on my YouTube channel. I've also uploaded the full video on my X account. So are you on X? We are streaming on X at the moment. Are you on LinkedIn? We are streaming on LinkedIn at the moment. We are streaming on Splash FM Facebook page. We are also streaming on State Affairs app. So you can download the app on Google Play Store. You can download the app on iOS and listen on the go. You can also listen to this program on Radio Garden. Search for Splash FM on Radio Garden and then join the broadcast. Remember, the book we are looking at is a book written by Tony Falola and Dr. Bola Dauda. It's a great read. It is that book entitled Decolonizing Nigeria, 1945 to 1960, Politics, Power, and Personalities. We are looking at a chapter of that book. It's a book that should be in every house, because the value in the book is the value of leadership, is the value of inspiring leadership, is the value of understanding history. And when you read a book like that, it has a way of impacting on your thinking, your understanding of why things are the way they are, and the role you can play to build a great country, a country that can compete with the advanced world. It's a book that will aid your personal development in leadership, in church, in the market, because the book goes deep into history to define the human personality. You'll find that book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. You can also get that book through my WhatsApp number. That is 080-999-18449. 080-999-18449. That is the same number you will call when I'm ready to pick the calls. Because as we discuss the background of the leaders, I will recommend more books to you. These are books that will broaden your world, broaden your horizon. Now, let's start with Obafemi Awolowo. Awolowo was the leader of the glorious era of Yoruba nationalism. Having come from a humble background, he traveled to the United Kingdom to study law. In the UK, he mobilized Yoruba nationalists to form the Egbe Omo Oduduwa in 1945. That is why another book I'm recommending to you is entitled My Early Life, a book written by Obafemi Awolowo. My Early Life. If you read that book, you would understand Awolowo's background and what defined his worldview. So I recommend that book to you, My Early Life, written by Obafemi Awolowo. I also recommend Awu, an autobiography. Awu, an autobiography. If you read both books, you would understand who Awolowo is. And then you can begin to say, these are the lessons I want to take from his life and build mine for greatness. Both books are on udarabooks.com. You can also get them through my WhatsApp number. Awolowo was called to the English bar in 1946. He returned to Nigeria to join the struggle for independence from British imperialism. On the 5th of June 1948, the Egbe was launched in the palace of the Oni of Ife to strengthen Yoruba solidarity, and Awu became the General Secretary as Sir Deyemo Alakija was made the President. As political activities hit the polity, the Egbe became the action group on the 26th of March, 1950. In 1954, Obafemi Awolowo was appointed the first premier of the Western region. This came after he was made the first leader of government business and minister of local government in 1952. To satisfy his ambition of national leadership, Awolowo stepped down as the premier of the Western region in 1959 and proceeded to the Federal House of Representatives, where he became the opposition leader when the Northern People's Congress, NPC, in alliance with the National Council of Nigerian Citizens, NCNC, formed the leadership of the Federation, with Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as the Prime Minister and Nnamdi Azikiwe as President. Azikiwe acted on behalf of the British monarchy at the time, because Nigeria was not a republic until 1963. Awu defined Nigeria as a mere geographical expression. Dr. Bola Dauda, author of the book Decolonizing Nigeria, 1945 to 1960, Politics, Power, and Nationalities, is on State Affairs. let's look at Awolowo's social background.
Yes.
In the book, you write that, for example, Obafemi Awolowo's childhood deprivations and sufferings that involved having to fend for himself
Yes.
and to attend 6 different schools for his primary education
Yes.
after his father died of smallpox sharpened his emotional feelings of empathy.
Yes.
You said Awolowo's experience in an orphanage developed in him what psychologists would call projected identification.
Yes.
What is projected identification?
Well, if you have a feeling for people who are in a particular condition, you can then think that everybody, say like if you are an honest person, you can identify with anyone who you consider to be honest. So with his background as an orphan, he could identify with what it meant to be an orphan.
The authors of the book went on to state that in politics too, Obafemi Awolowo's childhood deprivations influenced his social welfare politics
Yes.
and motivated him to want to provide free education and free health care for children up to the age of 18.
Yes.
But is it in all cases that such a background leads to a man wanting to provide social justice for his people?
Yes.
In all cases?
In most cases, but it also, politics is a different thing in terms of, that is why some people refer to politics as a dirty game, in which what is constant is your self-interest. So a situation in which you have strong beliefs, as Awolowo had, in helping the poor, then it's a different thing. But it cannot be generalized because of other factors.
Because I know many politicians at the moment who came from poor background,
Yes.
but yet are starving the people of the dividends of leadership.
Yes.
So it's not in all cases.
It's not in all cases.
I just want us to establish that. So how come Awolowo became different?
Well, even in a situation where you have twins, same environment, same every parent, same profession, one may turn to be a criminal and the other may turn to be a philanthropist and successful, call it a career person.
Is it connected to a line here? Let's make this point. I'm trying to get the part of the book. Yes. Because I'm wondering why Awolowo turned out to be what he became.
Yes.
And Ahmadu Bello was not Awolowo, and Zik was not Awolowo.
No.
Though the book has explained it. But here, let's look at some of the books Awolowo read. Yes. Did that define who he became? You said according to Awolowo, 2 of the books that shaped his personality, works, and life philosophy were The Human Machine by Arnold Bennett.
Yes.
And It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes.
Yes.
Awolowo developed his philosophy of mental magnitude
Yes.
from Arnold Bennett's The Human Machine,
Yes.
and his resolve for the ethos of self-reliance and self-discipline, and his determination to take control of his thoughts, life, and destiny from It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes. Mental magnitude.
Yes.
Awolowo so much believed in mental magnitude.
Yes.
How powerful can a book be on the life of a reader?
There is a saying that one book can change one's life and can shape one's life. And that's what that book did for Awolowo. today, despite the level of artificial intelligence and everything, the human mind is still, the capacity of the human brain is still far ahead of what we can reproduce through artificial intelligence.
But they said artificial intelligence will soon go beyond the human brain. But
Let's see how it goes. But at the end of the day, you have a situation in which you are going to use the other factors that constitute a human being, the feelings, the emotion, the ability to choose. It's only a human being that will be hungry and still refuse to eat the food that does not promote his dignity. So that is what mental magnitude, magnitude there from magnificence, from greatness of the mind is what it's referring to, that there's a lot you can do with your brain.
Awolowo was an intense reader.
Yes.
And he read works written by authors that are deep thinkers.
Yes.
And he affected his worldviews.
Yes.
Did Awolowo apply mental magnitude in his politics?
He did.
In what way?
The first thing he did when he knew that the independence was coming was that he collected a number of intellectuals around him. Throughout his early years as Prime Minister or Premier for Western Region, there was dialogue with the intellectuals in the University of Ibadan. So he believed that he can learn a lot and he can get a lot done through people who know better than him. He was not afraid of brilliant, intelligent people in his cabinet.
And did that reflect in some of the policies he initiated as the Premier of the Western Region?
Yes.
Like the television?
Yes.
The idea of the television at that time,
yes,
could you place that as mental magnitude?
Ambition. Knowing the power of the pen, he knew that propaganda is very powerful in politics. And for him to establish first in Africa the television, where WMBC, WMTV was part of his application of the power of the mind.
Before Western Nigerian television, he had established the Nigerian Tribune.
Yes.
That was mental magnitude?
Part of it. You need the media today. Even in politics, you need the media to promote your ideas.
He also talked of democratic socialism.
Yes.
How would you place democratic socialism? How would you relate it to Awolowo's background?
Don't forget that within the Yoruba, the way democracy was played was that a king could only rule in council. So if his people don't want him or the king, they will just send him the message that he should either leave the throne or commit suicide. So basically, the power of the people has been part of his upbringing as a Yoruba person. So the kingmakers, they are in control of, that's why they say Oyomesi, So if you are from Yoruba kingdom or anywhere within the Yoruba kingdom, the Oba is ruling as a result of approval by the people.
And Awolowo looked at that and talked about democratic socialism.
Yes.
But the Yoruba system wasn't that democratic, was it?
I don't know how you define democracy, but if it is possible for a slave to become a king, if it is possible for a king to be dethroned, then I don't know how else you will define democracy. And if you look at a saying in Yoruba that the child has wisdom, the elders have wisdom, that is how the Ife was established as a ruling entity.
So the point you are making is that democracy has existed in Africa long ago before the colonialists came.
Yes.
So when they talk about Greek and democracy, how does that make you feel?
They learned it from Africa. The Greek learned it from Egypt.
So how do
whatever they knew, they came to Africa to learn it.
Why do we ascribe the beginning of democracy to the Greeks?
Oh, because they put it into practice within their system.
Because if you even look at the Igbo model, the Umuna system, the
Yes.
Umuada, it was so democratic, egalitarian, and republican.
Yes.
Is it that we didn't begin to write our history on time?
No, we had no choice. They came, they said we had no history, that because things were not written down, or they believe, they discredited everything we had in terms of our ruling system, our governance system, and our religion. So there was nothing anyone could do.
But it's oral literature, not history.
It is, but they didn't recognize it.
But we have woken up, have we?
We are waking up a bit. Some are still asleep.
You said in the book that these differing books' influences turned Obafemi Awolowo into a focused, determined, but also a compassionate person.
Yes.
The power of books. We have books on the table.
Yes.
I know what book does to me.
Thank you. And I know what it does to me.
But I see people who don't like reading,
Yes.
yet they are educated. Are they really educated?
Well, I don't know how you define education, but anyone who can read and doesn't read, I don't think is educated.
Are we writing enough?
We are not, but we cannot all be writers, you know. So, but in terms of reading, we need to wake up.
Are politicians reading enough?
I don't know. I don't move close to politicians, so I don't really know whether they read or not.
But if they were reading enough, you would feel it in the policies and the dividends of leadership on the state. Is that not true?
Definitely, it should reflect.
Is it reflecting?
If they are applying what they are reading.
So people can read and yet not apply.
Yes.
It's in the application you get the value of reading,
Yes.
not in the reading.
No. Say, for example, if I give you one message or one statement, you can interpret it in different ways. So some may interpret it positively, some may interpret it negatively. So when you get information from the book, then depending on your capacity to apply it and to see how is it applicable to your system. When we come to Dr. Azikiwe, you will see the implication here of what it means to want to apply your knowledge.
After the death of Obafemi Awolowo's father,
Yes.
poverty besieged the family.
Yes.
This was
Not the family. Besiege Awolowo.
besieged Awolowo.
Yes.
Why Awolowo?
Don't forget that his father was one of the richest
Yes.
before he died. And the wealth that he had was enough to educate Awolowo. But the uncle and the heritage system or the inheritance system took everything that his father had from him and threw him out.
Is that heritage system one of the drawbacks of Africa?
It is one of our problems.
How come we are not reforming it?
It's difficult to reform
Why?
because you need people who are ready to go against the social beliefs and values.
Mao Zedong, through the Cultural Revolution, reformed China.
After killing 70 million people.
Is that the consequences of radical reforms?
That is one of it.
So do you call for radical reforms?
Not necessarily, but if you go by the mental magnitude, there are ways by which you can get things done and revolutionize the system without necessarily being bloody.
Did Awolowo revolutionize the Yoruba cultural system?
To some extent.
Did he?
He did.
How?
To some, for example, when it came to introducing of education at primary level, he had opposition everywhere. But he believed that there is no way you could do it without taxing people. So he then made it compulsory for all adults to pay the education levy, and for which he lost election in 1954 or so. So the opposition was strong, but he was ready to do whatever it was required. He made sure that every local community contributed to the running of that free education. Apart from paying the tax, the adults were mobilized. The politicians and local leaders and rulers were sent to their people to mobilize them. My father was one of those who cleared the field, the ground where the primary school was built that I attended.
But you would agree that what Mao Zedong did in China cannot be compared to what Awolowo did. Awolowo could never touch the traditional system.
No.
He didn't go near it.
Oh, he went. Don't forget, they all knew what they were doing. You know, Ahmadu Bello became the, like you say, local government, commissioner for local government. You know, Awolowo was in charge of local government. And he was able to use his power to depose any Oba that went against him. And that's what created the crisis with Alafin.
Yes, he deposed personalities, but he did not dare the system as such. The system remained.
The system remained because it wasn't a bad system, if you like.
Is the system...
The system that allows you to cooperate as a community to finance the establishment of a secondary school for your community. It's not a bad one. If there was anything that was necessary to change, he was ready to change that.
State Affairs with Ahmadu Bello is live.
It's about Nigeria. It's about the Nationalist Triad, the founding fathers of Nigeria. We just discussed Awolowo, looking into his background. And we discussed him on the basis of the writings of Tony Falola and Bola Dauda. Both of them wrote the book Decolonizing Nigeria. That book will open your mind and lift you to higher climes of intelligence and improve your value of leadership. Awolowo talked about mental magnitude, the power of the mind. Read the book Decolonizing Nigeria, 1945 to 1960. Politics, Power, and Personalities. I have recommended Awolowo's books to you. I have recommended My Early Life, an autobiography by Obafemi Awolowo. It talks about how Awolowo began his life, the books that opened him to knowledge. He talks about mental magnitude in that book. I've also recommended an autobiography, Awo, and onto an autobiography. Have you read My March Through Prison by Obafemi Awolowo? I recommend that book to you. I also recommend another Awolowo's book to you, Path to Nigeria Freedom. Path to Nigeria Freedom. See, Awolowo's books are classic. If you are a student of politics, history, and power, you should have them. It is not optional. As a student of this class, you should begin to have these books. Because soon I'll begin to bring in some students to discuss the books they have read on the show. You will see how far they have gone in their mental development. Soon I'll begin to bring in the students because I'm in touch with some of them. When they read, they are communicating with me, they are breaking down, they are giving me analytical prowess that I don't even have. As I read through their analysis, it inspires me to do more, to read more. Another book by Awo is Strategy and Tactics of the People. You can be picking one copy at a time. You read them. Don't just buy books and keep them. Read them so that your mental magnitude will increase. And you see, you become a solution finder. Awo was not just a politician. He was a solution finder, growing his society. He was a philosopher. Awo was a businessman. He was a father. In Awo, you can also understand the power of love between husband and wife, his relationship with his wife. That is why you should read. In fact, I recommend the biography of his wife to you entitled In the Radiance of a Sage. In the Radiance of a Sage. If you read these books, you'll begin to see the reflections. Oh, what about The Travails of Democracy by Awo? One of the best books by Awo. The Travails of Democracy. The Travails of Democracy is so futuristic. When you're reading the book, you begin to see the visionary instinct of Awo. His power of prediction, his prophetic power. Awo. You will find these books on udarabooks.com. You can also order them through my WhatsApp numbers. You can order them through my WhatsApp number 080 999 18449. That is 080 999 18449. You can also call the number. Let me hear from you. What do you think about the analysis so far? So let's talk. Call on WhatsApp 080 999 18449. Let's talk before we move to Ahmadu Bello, because we want to discuss the three of them. So you can call on WhatsApp 080 999 18449. That's the number to call. The Nationalist Triad. Look at what they wrote in the book by Bola Dauda and Tony Falola. Okay, I have Mr. Tonya Brown on the line. Hello, Mr. Brown.
Good morning, the radio man.
Mr. Tonya Brown.
Thank you very much. Well done, Mr. Bello, this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, the class has begun early this morning, and quite interesting one. And the resource person reminded me my early years, but I wish the early years will come again. Anyway, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, an astute politician, educationist, man of different colors, different background. Though he had, from the analysis you gave this morning, he had a very difficult early life, growing up due to the death of his father. But he never allowed that to deter him. He was resolute in what he was looking for. He never knew he never had a father. He went after what his mind tells him, and he challenged himself. What I have to be, irrespective of whatever difficulties that surrounds him. He was well read, and he inspired a lot of most of the big people in Nigeria today, include more of the Southwest. Again, from the education, free education of Obafemi Awolowo. I read somewhere that, in fact, they had to sew uniforms, and they were dispatching uniform house to house and asking people to go to school. He was a nationalist, and if probably Zik had listened to him, or they have really agreed at the early start, maybe Zik would have been the prime minister. He would have been the deputy prime minister. But they know how they play their politics. But he has really influenced a lot of people, educationally, socially, politically, philosophically, just like you brought it this morning. I think it's a siege, and I mean, we'll continue to remember him. He had a great impact with the Southwest, particularly. He had a vision for the Southwest. He had a very good vision. But if he was given opportunity,